We're restoring this 1986 Boston Whaler, and now it's time for the electrical. I started by replacing the bow light, and after testing the wires, decided to use the wires that were already there rather than try to run anything new behind the rub rail. And after a little soldering, some heat shrink tubing, some sealant, and some screws, she was ready to go. Next, it was on to replacing the stern light. And for this, I got a waterproof outdoor electrical conduit box to run my wires into and create a junction between my battery and the rest of the electronics. I'm also going to mount my trolling motor plug and my stern light directly into the box. To make cutting the holes easier, I'm creating a couple of templates out of cardboard that I can transfer onto the box before cutting. Sealant and screws, I now have my stern light mount and my trolling motor plug, and this whole thing is waterproof. Next, I wanted to run the wires that were there into the back of the box. And I have wiring that would run to the console. Coming out of the box will be wires that go into the battery box and connect it all up. To protect my battery and the rest of the electrical system, I'm putting a 60 amp circuit breaker for the trolling motor. After wiring the stern light, it was time to test it out. With my bow and stern light working together, it was time to move on to the console. Underneath the tiny console, I'm going to install a 6-way fuse block and a horn. I took some time and drew up my wiring diagram for my console before I started. Again, I'm using cardboard as a template so I can get all of my switches arranged just the way I like them before applying it to the aluminum and cutting it. To start, I'm putting in a 12-volt marine grade plug so I can put in a spotlight or run a air compressor if I need to. Next to that, I've got a pair of USB plugs and a voltmeter so I can get a reading on my battery and at the same time charge a phone or anything I need to with it. In the center, I have this little metal button for the horn. And finally, I'm installing a couple of old school looking toggle switches. One will be for the bow and stern lights. The other will be for a light that I'm mounting underneath the seat. I'm using the aluminum because my switches are not long enough to go through the wood itself. And I like the look and feel of aluminum and wood. It gives it sort of a classic retro look. With the switches and the face of the console done, it was time to put it back together. Inside here, I'll have the steering assembly, plus the 6-way fuse block and the horn, so it's going to be pretty tight. I wanted to make sure all of my cables were well routed and easy to get to. I also ran a pair of wires up through my console for my Garmin Fish and Depth Finder. If you like the look of the console or have questions, leave them in the comments below, and use the like and subscribe button to let me know if you want to see more projects like this.